Hello, and welcome to the first video in this new series. Now, I know that I already said that exact sentence in the previous video, but this video is going to start a different series, where I'm going to go over some tips, tricks, guides, or tutorials, whatever you want to call them, where I'll be sharing with you some of my own experience with the game, explaining some game mechanics, and showing you some problems you might encounter with the game. Now, I'm going to make a short disclaimer before jumping into this video's topic. Since I don't have that much time to invest into making these videos, I'm going to be speaking from top of my head sometimes, because I don't have that much time to write down the complete commentary before making the video, so I cannot really, read it while recording the video. So what I'm trying to say is that the commentary might not be that good, at least not as good as with the overview video, but hopefully you guys won't even notice. Well, you probably will, but hopefully you won't mind too much. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's jump in to the topic of today's video. So today I would like to go over the industrial park in the city of Rockdale. Now, as you may know, from the previous video at least, the city of Rockdale is a city that I'm building live on the Twitch stream. So if you want to go see it live, then just follow the link in the video description and it's going to take you to my Twitch channel. Now, if you played City Skylines, if you played it long enough to build some moderately big city, you probably also built some kind of an industrial zone, maybe similar to this one. In that case, you very well know, or you are aware of the fact that industrial buildings do attract a lot of traffic. They obviously need raw materials imported to them, so it's going to attract a lot of trucks from outside the map. But they also produce their own traffic, like supply vans, supply trucks that are going to supply your commercial buildings, or they are going to export the goods to different cities. Now, this kind of traffic can definitely cause all kinds of issues, mainly where your industrial zone connects to the rest of the world. That's going to be kind of a choke point, a weak point, and it's probably going to create all kinds of issues, depending obviously on your city layout. In this video, I'm going to show you this particular layout of mine in this city, and I'm going to talk a bit about how it works, what are the main features of this layout, of this design, why it works, where the main problems could occur if built differently, and so on. So let's go. This industrial zone is divided into two symmetrical, at least functionally symmetrical parts. They are divided by this center part where the train yards are. So to simplify this explanation of the industrial zone, I'm just going to talk about the upper part, because everything I say for the upper part obviously applies for the lower part as well. Now, on the right side of the entire zone, we have these entrance points. I'm going to describe the entrance roads later, but let's now focus on the individual streets in this design. So as you can see, the individual streets are built using a 4-lane, one-way road. And these streets are connecting straight through the entire zone without really interconnecting with each other. Except for this bottom one, but that's only because of the shape of the train terminal area. That is not really all that important in the design. You can create your own design with your own streets. Doesn't really matter. The point is that these streets are just continuing straight through the entire zone. Now, on the left side of the zone, we have the exit points from these streets. And here you can see, or at least I can explain better, why do I have 4-lane one-way streets here? I mean, the one-way part is kind of obvious, but the 4-lane might not be. But let's explain that. So as you can see, the street at the end of the industrial zone splits into two. But in here, using the traffic manager mod, I have only allowed these middle lanes to be used to exit the industrial street. Now, why is that? Well, because cars or trucks that are going to make deliveries are going to mostly stay in the outer lanes because they obviously want to supply the buildings that are built to the sides of the street. But if they finish delivery, or after they finish the delivery, they usually tend to go to the middle lanes, so they won't be stopped by the traffic that is yet to make a delivery. I'm not sure if you can see it here, but you can clearly see that this traffic that is just going to leave the zone is already positioned in the middle lanes, and traffic that is just making a delivery is going to be in the outer lanes. Obviously, it's not 100%, but it definitely helps a lot with the traffic flow in these individual streets. So that's like the first important design aspect of this particular layout. The other very important aspect of this design is to split traffic going into different directions. As you can see at the end of the industrial zone, or at the end of one industrial street, we are splitting the traffic into two directions. Now let's first talk about the right highway connection. I mean, these are highway roads, so that's why I'm calling it highway connections or highway ramps. Doesn't really matter. But as a matter of fact, this actually is a highway connection because it goes to the highway network, but more on that later. So as you can see, this right ramp is similar with all the other streets. It's actually completely the same. These then merge together, as you can see here, and then continue to the other half of the industrial zone, where they even merge with all the other traffic from the other half of the zone. And then it continues to the highway network. Yes, I'm aware of the fact that this highway interchange is absolute garbage, and I do want to rework it in the future. So that's the highway connection. Now, depending on your train or the quality of your train network, cargo train network, this highway connection might not be used all that much. If you want to go like really far on the next level, you might even completely destroy the highway connection and have the industrial zone connected to the outer world by train only. Also, now that I noticed, I don't have the correct lanes here. I'm gonna have to repair that. Sorry about that. But I do have it correct here, like I explained before. This is the correct way to do things. Now, before we follow this other connection from this one individual industrial street, let's first talk about how the train area works. Why are there 4 cargo train terminals? Why not just 1 or 2? So, these 2 cargo terminals on the top of this view, they are supplying traffic, or they are sending cargo trains into that direction towards the city downtown. And these 2 bottom stations are sending cargo train traffic into the opposite direction there. There's obviously not that many buildings there, but it's sending the cargo across the river into the Midtown area. Now, this cargo station, as I said, sends traffic to the left of this view. This cargo station is for the lower half of the industrial zone, and this cargo station is for the upper half of the industrial zone. Just like these 2 for the opposite direction, this cargo station is for the lower half. Yes, and this cargo station is for the upper half. It's getting a bit confusing. I'm a bit not sure about it myself sometimes. Now, again, you might ask, well, yeah, but why don't you have just 1 cargo station or even 2? The problem is, we can actually see it very, very well in here. The problem is with the entrance to one cargo train terminal. As you can see, cars need to make a very sharp 90-degree turn here, and then they need to slow down considerably, quite considerably. And it's creating a traffic jam, it's creating a traffic line. It's causing a traffic car accidents, as you can see as well. Fortunately, the game doesn't really care about traffic accidents. So what this means is that one cargo train terminal has some kind of a maximum capacity of cars or maximum speed at which it accepts cars or trucks. So if you have a lot of trucks, going into one cargo train terminal, it's going to create a very big line of cars because they are just going to wait for their turn. That is why it's a very good idea to minimize the number of trucks going into one cargo train station. So that's why I have 4 in here, to just raise the capacity at which the cargo train terminals can accept cars by 4 times. So let's now go back to the street or one industrial street exit point, and let's follow this other connection, this other highway ramp that goes towards the train area. Now, as you can see in here, this highway then splits into 2 more. Now, why is that? One of this highway ramp continues to a train station that goes towards that area, and one connection, this lower one, goes to the train station that supplies the opposite side. As you can see, let's now focus on the upper ramp. As you can see, again, it merges together with all the other connections from the other industrial streets, and then it continues towards its own cargo train terminal, which is this one. This particular thing is done exactly like that for all the other 3 cargo train terminals. So let's now focus on this lower one. We can just follow this truck, for example. It goes underneath this bridge. As you can see, I'm using the slim pillars here, so we don't have the pillars in the lane, in the driving lane. And these trucks then follow this road and go to this train terminal. If we focus on the other half of the industrial zone, we have the exact same thing. Again, split into 2. The upper ones merge together and continue to their cargo train terminal. And the lower roads, again, merge together and then continue towards their cargo train terminal right here. Now for the roads leaving the terminals. Let's follow, for example, this road. As you can see, I don't have that much space in here, so I needed to improvise a lot. This road from that highway, from that cargo terminal, goes here, where it merges. At this point, it merges with the other exit road from this cargo terminal. This traffic then merges together to one-way street, a 2-lane one-way street. And then, because I wanted to create something a bit more interesting, and because I kind of want to keep to realistic slopings of roads, I wanted to loop this road back so it can gather some height on a greater distance, and it loops back here and continues over the entrance roads. Again, like I said, I used I think it's called Network Skins mod, where you can change the pillars. I use the slim concrete pillars so I can place them exactly in the middle of that road and it doesn't interfere with the lanes underneath it. This road then continues towards the end of the train area, where it then does other things. I'm going to talk about that later. Let's now focus on the other exit roads. These are going to be much simpler. Exit road from this cargo train terminal just continues straight forward, where it again merges with another exit road from this particular cargo train terminal, as you can see here. On the side of this street, we have service buildings. We have the incinerator here, we have a police station, and the fire department. Now, these 3 buildings are very important for your industrial buildings to reach level 3. So you definitely want to have them. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might have seen this road here. And you might wonder, why do I have this here? Because it doesn't really, serve any purpose. But as you can see here, it actually serves a very important purpose because it serves as a return path for service vehicles. I use the Traffic Manager mod to ban cargo and personal cars in here and only allow the service vehicles to enter this particular segment so that service vehicles going into the lower half of the industrial zone can safely return to their headquarters. Now, at the end of the train area, we again have these roads that are splitting into two and doing some kind of a interchange, some kind of a junction here, as you can see. Now, what exactly this does and why do I have this solution in here? I could just take this road and merge them into one 4-lane road. That was actually a design that I did before, but that only creates a lot of issues because traffic wants to merge violently, and it doesn't really work. So instead I went with this solution where cars, no matter their origin point, can go into different halves of the industrial zone. Now, why is that? Because you might wonder, why are you doing that? Because cars coming from one side of the zone don't really need to have an ability to go to the different part of the zone, right? Well, wrong. Because if you have a truck that is importing goods to, let's say, this building, then it's not only going to transport goods to that building, it's going to unload maybe like 50% of its cargo, and then it might choose to go to, let's say, this building. Now, how is it going to do that? Well, obviously, it needs to kind of loop back and go to the other half. That is why I have this solution here, this road solution here built. Let's say that this yellow truck wants to go, instead it doesn't want to go back to the upper half of the zone, it wants to go to the lower half. So it can easily just turn right here, go underneath this bridge, and to this distribution road. This solution is also done like this because of the services. Now, sure, I might just build these set of buildings twice, once for the upper half, once for the lower half, sure, but that would be kind of cost ineffective, so I rather have it this way. And this solution works really good. Now, after this kind of an interchange, small interchange area, we are continuing towards these 4-lane roads, which are acting as a distribution road for the individual industrial streets. So we have kind of did a full circle, and we are back at the start of the industrial zone, where, as you can see, we have the distribution road from the train area going underneath this highway distribution road, which is connected to the highway. These cars coming on the upper road are arriving from the highway network. And at the start of the industrial street, they are merging together. Now, I need to mention that I do use mods to create this design, and it's probably a good idea to tell you what exactly am I using. So as you can see, for example, here, this obviously would not be possible to build without using the road anarchy or one of the road anarchy mods. So that is very useful. Also, if you want to have greater control over your heights of the roads and positions of the roads, a mod called Move It is very, very useful. As you can see, I have the quays built here, which means that I need to use the quay anarchy mod. I already mentioned the traffic manager and the network skins, I think it's called, for the pillars here. Also, network extension mod for these narrow one-lane, one-way streets. You might be able to build this kind of industrial layout using the vanilla game, but you would have to have a lot of patience, that is for sure. And it probably would not be built as compact as this. Also, another thing that I cannot forget to mention is that the industrial zone needs to be connected to a public transport system. Now, in this particular design, in this particular build, I have this elevated passenger train station, which is located roughly in the center of the industrial zone, and it's connected to all the industrial zone by these pedestrian paths. And as you can see, people are happily using them. I don't really have pretty much any personal cars going into the industrial zone because people just arrive using the train. Now, all of the things that I showed you here could definitely be simplified at the cost of efficiency or possible traffic problems. As I already mentioned, using fewer cargo train terminals could be done, but it's definitely going to lower capacity and might create a lot of traffic problems. So if you want to use fewer cargo train terminals, then you can definitely not afford to have the industrial zone big as I had when I showed you. Also, the road system don't need to split into so many new roads. I have created here this representation of the particular design that I was doing in the industrial zone. As you can see, multiple times in the industrial area, we were doing this kind of a thing. So let's say we have 3 roads and we want to split them into 2 directions. Now, as I said, this is the solution that I used in the industrial zone. We are going to split each one of these one-way roads, then going to merge the one half of the splits going into one direction and merge the other half of the splits going to the other direction. As I said, this is what I used. Now, you could simplify this by simply having these 3 roads merge together to one high-capacity roads, and then just let cars, do the lane merging how they want to, and then exit towards their destinations. Again, this is going to lower the capacity and might create traffic jams if built in a very large industrial zone. As I mentioned, I did this in one part of the zone, and it completely broke the entire zone. It created all kinds of traffic issues, very long queues and very long lines of trucks just waiting to merge into their lanes. But it definitely is cheaper, and it might actually be even better to look at instead of a complicated solution like this. But again, at the expense of capacity and efficiency. Alright, so that was about it, what I wanted to say. I hope I didn't forget an important piece of information about this design, about this layout. If I did, feel free to ask your questions in the comments, or better yet, check out my Twitch channel where you can catch me building the city live and ask me there to get a quick answer. Link to my Twitch channel is in the video description, like I said. So yeah, that should be all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day, and I'll see you some other time. Goodbye.